Owamie Hlongwane and I am the good wife. Hello my ninjas, how are you guys doing? It's a girl Owamie Hlongwane, aka Miss Fear for calling. Obviously, when it comes to this series, aka the good wife. Okay, so anyway, I remember I posted a picture on Instagram, and that's the particular picture. Yes. And I was basically saying that, you know what, I wanted to start a series called The Good Wife, and obviously where as married women we get to discuss certain things, and you know, obviously all that. I am also going to be taking like private questions, which obviously I will compile and then do videos, like, you know, sort of like a Q&A, so a thing, and obviously it's going to be on this channel because this is my channel. This is not entertainment, this is just me doing every single thing that I actually want. And obviously The Good Wife is something that I do want to do because I am a happily married woman, and other than that, you guys, I have actually, like, I feel like growing up, obviously I feel like you guys have actually gotten to know me, and obviously I've told you guys this, that growing up I did not grow up, you guys, in the best setup, and obviously the marriages that I saw around me were not like, you know, marriages that I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get married. No, I was not. I was someone that was so against marriage, you guys, myself, that I used to have nightmares over and over and over again of old women, including my grandmothers, both of them. You need to know how stressed that was, forcing me to say that you need to get married now, you're old. And I was like, no. And I wake up and legit, it was a real nightmare, because I was like, I don't want to get married, I don't want to go suffer, because I feel like that's exactly what our past generations have gone through. Once you get married, it's like, you know, you're finally like, the doors of suffering have opened for you. Enter, you know. And I remember 2010, that was when I actually met a friend of mine. Honestly, she and I are very good friends, we're in good terms. I feel like even if we can ever fall out, I'll forever just be grateful for the fact that, you know, she changed my life, because I used to see how she was so close with her husband, and I was like, wow, so, you know, this is actually really a thing. Like, oh my gosh, the people that are this happy in marriage, like, I couldn't believe it, you guys. And I slowly started learning things from her. And as much as, like, you know, obviously I would be like, I remember at first I used to be shocked, and I would ask her like, Chummy, you're really this close with your husband? And she would be like, yeah, told me, like, to a point where you guys would be in rest, and you know, I didn't ask her for permission, so I'm not gonna say her name or anything, and I'm not gonna say a lot because we're really close friends, and she watches my video. Hey girl. So you know, and I remember, like, this one memory that I feel like that was the day I actually said, you know what, I also want something like this. This is what I want. Like, you are my role model when it comes to marriage. I remember it was on a Saturday and we were busy studying, and so, you know, her husband went to church, and after that, like, you know, they were calling each other, and they were like, oh, I miss you so much. The husband was like, you know what, I'm gonna just drive to school so that I can see you. Now obviously I understood, you know, you've not seen your husband in quite some time, he wants to see you and all that. So I see them, you know, they meet up. The husband had his car, she had her own, and obviously, like, they meet up at rest, and I mean, not at rest, like in campus, and you know, they stand there, they're talking, they hug, this much, everything, and then the husband leaves. So, you know, she comes back, and I ask her, tell me, when did your husband come back? She's like, come back from where? I'm like, wait, like, where was he? She was like, no, like, in the morning, obviously, he woke up, I came to school, he went to work. So, you know, I was like, wait, so he missed you that much, and like, you woke up together? Like, guys, that was something that was like so far from me. Remember, the example of marriage was like, you can go 30 days without your husband, when he comes back it's just, hi Unjani, that's it. And so you mean to tell me that you saw your husband in the morning, and he missed you so much to the point where he drove from the house to campus just to see you? She was like, yeah, and you know, like, Saturdays or weekends we're always together, so obviously missed me. I remember that day I was like, oh my gosh, I really truly also want this kind of love, and I'm so grateful and so blessed that I got that. And let me just say, like, I got a 2.1. Oh, sorry Chomi, but you know, like, I feel at the end of the day, like, she taught me so much, not even knowing. I started like taking notes when she was not even looking, like, she was just simply living her life, but I was taking notes. And then guess what, you guys, like, I remember, like, you know, that time I was dating someone that was like a horrible human being in my opinion, but anyway, I remember just saying to myself that, you know what, I know for sure this nonsense is not going to last. It's not going to work. I'm gonna want to get someone that is exactly like her husband, and not exactly, but like I wanted someone whose characteristics were almost those of her husband. And you know, her husband was quiet, you know, soft spoken. He's someone that is very caring, someone that is very loving, that puts his wife first. And I feel like if I'm saying all this and you know my husband, I just described that man. So you know, obviously that was when I, you know, got my husband, and he had been proposing me, but he was just not, you know, my type in terms of, like, you guys do know how it is with girls. We like bad boys, which is such a bad thing, and obviously we're going to get into that whole shindig right here. And I remember just like, you know, whenever like I moved from that situation, 7 days after, I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna accept this guy's proposal. So I accepted my husband's proposal. Like, he wanted us to be together. And I remember with my husband it was so different, because instead of him like saying, you know, he sent me a text and he was like, you know what, we need to meet. So I think I'm gonna do a whole story like myself of how we met, or I don't know, like I do have that like on our vlogging channel, like where we are together and we're talking about this. So I'm sure I'll link it. And so, you know, obviously, like, you know, he was like, you know what, I need to talk to you. And when we went into his room, he did not say like, will you be my girlfriend, or I love you, or anything like that. He said, will you marry me? And I was like, will you marry me? The hell? I was like, not without a ring. If you want me to marry you, you need to, you know, be on your knee down, and you need to have a ring. And months later, you guys, he did exactly that, and obviously accepted his proposal. To be honest with you guys, that was when, and that's why even now I'm a true believer of you choose the person you love, because at the end of the day, remember, whoever guy you feel like, well, like he's driving you crazy, you can't even think, you can't even do this, is the same guy that before you met him you were living your life just fine. So you choosing people, choosing the person you're going to share the rest of your life with, is the biggest step, and the very first step of being the good wife. So for you to be a good wife, you need to have a good husband. You cannot be a good wife and have a bad husband, or you know, a husband that does not love you, or you know, a man that is this and that. So that's why, like, you know, it becomes very difficult. But for you to be a good wife, you are a good wife from the selection, from selecting the person that you decide you're going to share the rest of your life with, and obviously the person that you are going to give your heart to. Now obviously at first my husband was not really my type, because of, you know, he was that, but I went for him because I was like, wait, he has certain traits that are like my friend's husband, and they're happy, and obviously I wanted to be happy. And so, you know, obviously thank God that obviously he loved me so much. So for me, I would definitely say that the first step to being the good wife, and this is the first lesson for today, is that the first step to being the good wife is for you to choose a good man, a good husband for you. Because whenever you're out there and you're busy just dating people, you know, this playboy, abo heartbreakers and whatnot, it's not going to work. And again, the biggest piece that I can also give you advice, which we will still talk about, you know, this is kind of like just a feel of what the good wife is going to be about. Get a man that loves you and not a man you love, because it's so easy for you to learn you know, to learn to love a man than for a man to learn to love you. If a man does not love you, he will not love you. I'm so sorry to burst your bubble, honey, but if you thought maybe after I had that kid with him he's gonna love me, he won't. And if you thought maybe, like, you know, if we stayed long together, it won't happen. That's why it will keep on giving you problems. Find a man that loves you and you will learn to love him. So that is the biggest part that I can say. I feel, you know, no one can ever like dare say anything about me not loving my husband. I love that man with my heart, soul, and every single thing. But at one point I was just like, I don't want this. Like, but it's easy for a woman to fall in love with a man because we fall in love with how a man treats us. And a man that loves you will treat you right, will treat you well. Hence, it will be easy for you to fall in love with him. Now, the biggest problem that we obviously as women do is that, you know, we look for playboys, we look for those guys that will break our hearts. And after that's done, because he finally dumped you, you now move on to another guy that has the same traits because it reminds you of your ex, and now you fall in love with this one. And you know, it's a vicious cycle of that. You'll constantly be the one crying. You constantly be the one, you know, I don't want to say this because I know, like, oh my gosh, it's so bad. You constantly be that person that is like, oh, my people, my couple. And obviously, like, I'm a married woman, happily married at that. I've got my husband, and I've got those couples that I'm like, oh, my couple, I love you guys so much and all that. But it's really quite sad when you're gonna be the one constantly saying my couple to this couple and that couple and that couple, and you ain't coupled up because you keep on going for like playboys that are breaking your hearts and everything like that. So I feel like the good wife will definitely be that trait of like when you're still dating, but you're dating for seriousness, like in terms of you're dating someone who you're like, you know what, I want this person to be my husband. You learn to be a wife before you're actually even married, because if you decide that you're only going to be a wife when you're married, what if that lifestyle is not something that you like? What if that is not what obviously you're going to do? And I'm not saying like, you know, when it comes to like, you know, sex or anything like that, obviously we all have our own beliefs and we will still talk about that, but what I'm simply saying is that the good wife starts from selecting a good man for you. So if you fail at that step, then you failed completely, because you cannot be a good wife to a bad husband. It's not going to work. You understand what I'm saying? And so the reason why I'm honestly deciding that I'm going to be doing this series is because I feel like it's been so long, you guys, where wives have been looked down upon. Whenever like things go wrong in marriages, like we as wives are the ones to blame by the society, you know, our in-laws, you know, sometimes even our parents, sometimes our siblings, sometimes the community. Oh, it's her fault, she couldn't treat her husband right, or she lost that marriage. It's something that is obviously something that you're shamed upon as if it's your fault. But whenever a marriage is going right, guess what? They don't say, wow, Mom Hlongwane is doing such a great job, like look at how good her marriage is. No, she went over and then she took Owamie and she gave her husband. So you know, it's like as a wife you're constantly wrong. You can never ever be in the right place. Like, and I want that stigma to actually leave. Our parents had to go through that nonsense. We definitely do not have to. We are a new generation. We are a generation that will refuse to be a wife to 1,000 people, in terms of, you know, the mother wants you to be the wife, the father wants you to be the wife, you know, the sisters, the brothers of your husband, the kids want you to be the, no, you are only a wife to one person, and that one person is your husband. That's it. Everybody else can figure their way out. You are a wife to one person. Okay, now obviously we all have different titles. I can be a magoti to them, I can be a sister-in-law to them, a daughter-in-law, a mother, you know, a whatever. But a wife, I'm only a wife to one person. That one person is my husband. So, you know, I ain't to blame for anything else. You want food? Go and get your own food. My husband has eaten. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying obviously people need to go out there and just be disrespectful or anything like that. But I personally just feel like it's time as wives, you know, we fight back. Many wives have got a problem with side chicks, you know, which is a problem that I do not have. And I personally felt whenever it comes to this series, I'm gonna do my best to just accommodate everyone and try put myself in someone's shoes. But you guys do know exactly where I stand when it comes to staying with men that cheat. But listen, I'll give you my best advice, like my advice at my best capability, and sometimes it won't necessarily be like, okay, this is what I would do, because what I would do would believe, obviously. So I would look at it and say, okay, let's say I don't have the option of living, because some people believe in that. I personally also feel like it's that thing of, as wives, we're not as confident anymore. Not even anymore. We were never confident. Yes, we're starting to gain that confidence as we're, you know, generations are coming, but it is going at a very slow rate. You find, you know, side chicks being so confident in themselves, you know, they do this, they do that, they do that. As a wife, you ain't allowed to cut your hair, girl. You ain't allowed to do this, you ain't allowed to do that. It's time we all just decided, you know what, this is my life. And yes, I know that some battles we're gonna pick and choose, but battles that we feel are for us, we need to definitely tackle them. Because at the end of the day, if you are a wife and you're living under fear of at any time this man can leave me, so I can't do this, sweetheart, you failed at the husband selection stage, which is the first stage. But it does not mean that, you know, sometimes maybe you can solve, sometimes I do not know. Those are some of the stuff that we're going to obviously discuss. So I will say this video was all over the place, because I was kind of like just trying to put things in, you know, try have people that do not know me understand what I'm talking about. And yes, I'm a South African, I am an African that grew up in a village. So my you know, obviously my basics are from the village, but at the end of the day, honey, I ain't no pushover, okay? But yeah, I would like for you guys to comment down below, what topics would you like for us to talk about I feel we should all just discuss these topics, and yeah, I mean, I'm not exempted from, you know, problems. Obviously there are problems, but trust me, those problems are not from my husband, and I'm not a problem to my husband. We have other problems around us, honey, okay? So obviously it's a lot of things that we're still going to talk about. Anyway, as I said, please do go ahead and comment down below what you guys would like for us to talk about. I love you so much. The background will definitely change. This is not how I'm going to keep it. I'm actually in the works of redesigning my background. I just want something white, something clean. I do not even know yet, but yeah, I love you so much. Stay blessed, and I'll see you guys in my next episode. Bye, my ninjas.